I was just thinking about something today. I learned something new today. Oh, God. I learned something new today, and I thought it was so interesting. Um, Many of you guys know that I talk a lot, probably more than most people like to be talked to or even put on video at all, or run a podcast, or just talking online. Most, especially guys, especially construction, would never do what I'm doing. And I always found that interesting. I always found that people find me interesting because I go to multiple cities and multiple city councils and multiple public hearings and and I'm not scared to speak, and I'll speak all day long about issues and challenges and solutions. And I just found that, second nature to me. One, I've been training for decades of speaking, decades of challenges. And so I've been trained, prepared for finally I get to do what I do now. So that's one thing that most people, they don't get trained for this, to go speaking like this, and so a lot of people look at me like I'm the fish out of water, or the black sheep in the family. People keep their head down. People don't speak. And so I always found it fascinating. In the short term, we always said fear. It's fear-based, fear speaking. Public speaking is one of the greatest fears. And that's it. Surface level, top of the iceberg. And then I was listening to something. I forget where it was. It was earlier today, so 8 hours ago or so. And what it talked about was that a long time ago, we all used to be in little tribes. So just think of the indigenous way. So a lot of the indigenous Indians, Islanders, probably relate to this a little bit easier, but a long time ago, we used to only be in a little tribes of about 100 people, 120 people, and that was it. And when you screwed up, or when you said something wrong, or when you did something really wrong, the worst thing that could happen is you get exiled. So you get kicked out of social support systems, protection support systems, communication development. But the most important thing, especially for us guys, was reproduction. Your genetic line, your genes, your genetic was cut off. You couldn't have kids anymore. You're done. And so that was the biggest consequence when you did something really dumb. When you said something really dumb, or you acted in a really dumb way, you were straight up exiled. And ever since then, it's been inside the human DNA. It's been in the human DNA not to speak out, not to have public speaking, not to speak your thoughts, not to make it public, for sure, not to push an agenda that's for freedom of space against the tide, the ripple, the current of everybody else, right? And so I just found that super interesting, that it's hard enough because in the DNA of human beings, we have this thing with exile from thousands of years of tribal living. And then I thought it was really interesting for men, at least men in this lifetime, so everybody else too, that our bloodline, our whole family genetic tree was gone. You couldn't even have kids anymore when you got exiled. And so I thought that was super interesting. Why do people not stand up for affordable housing? Why do people not stand up against industry, or living wages, or just recently, what's the caregivers, IHCC? There's a lot of topics going on in Siskiyou County. And why do most of us not speak up? And what I learned this morning was that's a pretty interesting perspective of why people don't speak up. So just want to share that, because that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it makes a lot of sense. So Aloha Friday. Hope you guys are doing well, and have a fun, safe weekend when you get to it. And speak up. Okay? Don't be afraid to speak up. Aloha. Bye.